Something I have found to be extremely important in life is to figure out who you love and figure out how you want to love them. And I don't just mean like a romantic situation, even though that's absolutely important too, but just in general, not just who you love to maybe be friends with and hang out with, but who you love to help. Who do you love to help? Who, when you see that their life has gotten better because of something you did, does it lift your whole spirits up? We have a tendency to attach ourselves to certain people. And I think a lot of it has to do with thinking that they'll grieve for you or you'll grieve for them, that you'll care if they're suffering, that you'll want to make their life better, not worse, and that you hope they care about whether something would hurt you and they want to make your life better, not worse. When you love helping someone, it feels significantly less like a burden. It feels significantly less like you're not capable of doing it. When you love helping someone, even if it's, say, for your job, the money is the byproduct. The helping them is what's really important and makes a difference. It's powerful. When you love doing what you're doing with the people that you love doing it with, you don't need constant reaffirmations, or you don't need to deliberate it, whether this is good for you or not, constantly all the time. It's good to do that sometimes. Be aware, always be aware, but you don't need to be motivated when you love helping people. I love helping the people that I am helping. I want the world to be better for them. I love doing my jobs, both of them. I get to help people, and I love the people that I'm helping. And because I do that, it is fun for me. It's exciting for me. It's engaging for me because the people I'm helping, I care about, and I think that that's really key. That's really important. If you work at a job where you are struggling, you are having a hard time, think about how much you care about the people. And the more that you intentionally try to care, the less bad the job gets. And there's a lot of people who might think that's counterintuitive. They might think, oh, well, the less I care, the less it'll affect me. The more I can stay detached, the more I can deflect. That's not helping you at all. You still feel things, you just are shoving them away and being avoidant. That's not actually helping you at all. That's not healthy. What actually is healthy is caring, because it gives you fulfillment. When you love doing what you're doing, when you love helping who you're helping, when you love the people that are in your life, everything blossoms, everything gets better, and your work gets better when you love working for the people you're working for, when you love working towards helping the people that you're helping with what you're doing. Self-obsession is very limited. Individualism and being hyper independent and individualistic, it just literally has such narrow scope. And it is a detriment. It's not something that helps you to grow. You want to be aware of yourself and what you want and what you care about. You want to know yourself, but being obsessed with only yourself and not the people around you is actually really not great. I had a really hard moment at one point when I realized that if I thought about it, in my entire life, the person who loved me the most was me. I couldn't think of a single person who had come even remotely close to loving me as much as I had And there's been lots of points in my life where I didn't love myself, especially when I was a teenager. Believe me, I did not love myself when I was a teenager. And it was really hard for me to look at that and say to myself, yeah, I can't think of anyone who loved me more than me, even 99% of the time when I didn't treat myself well at all. I still can't think of anyone who cared more. And I feel like there's some people who would look at that, they would look at their life, and if they could come to that conclusion, oh my God, the person who's loved me the most in my life is me. Oh, success. Oh, that's so great. That's wonderful. I'm so proud. I, mm-mm, that's super unhealthy. Because the thing is there's a trend of self-care that's been commandeered by selfishness, and it's really tragic because people think that doing stuff for themselves and making it about themselves is somehow making their life enhanced, and it's putting a ton of limitations and barriers on how much their life can grow. And there is something to be said for having time to yourself. Very important to have time to contemplate, to be with yourself, to know yourself. But there's a huge difference between knowing yourself and being obsessed with yourself. There's a huge difference between self-care and self-sabotage. And people mislabel them a lot. There's a very big difference between doing something that's good for you and doing something because you feel like it. And a lot of times things that people do for themselves are actually really, really selfish and make the world a worse place, not a better place, including for themselves. If you do things that contribute to the betterment of other people, and then those other people do better things for you, you're making the world better for everyone, including yourself. Being part of community, being part of other people's lives matters. And there is a big difference between being part of community with other people and condoning the systems in place in society. Those are two very hugely different things. And a lot of people misconstrue them as being the same. Oh, well, if I hang out with all them people, then I'm saying, I'm going along with the way society functions and blah, blah, blah. Those are not direct correlations. And it shouldn't be seen that way. I think sometimes that people, if you go back to like philosophy, and I try not to say too many philosopher names or go into too much stuff from direct philosophy too often because I don't want people to be overwhelmed, just like I don't want people to be overwhelmed by financial jargon. But if you go back into philosophy and you look at, say, information by Marx, where he talks about alienation and how when people are doing things and they're producing things, if they don't feel any connection to it, they become alienated with other people, they become alienated with things they produce, they become alienated with themselves, they become alienated with society. And I feel like I see that a lot in people, that they don't feel any connection, and so they get alienation instead. There's millions of men, according to research and statistics, who are just full on not engaging with society. They've just decided not to work, not to do stuff. Millions. There are movements where people are railing against society, and I just don't want them to ever get it into their ideas, into their heads, that individualism is the real choice, just because overarching societal structures, especially when it comes to economics and finances, are disastrous, terrible for most people, most everything. It is egregious that 99% of humans, 99% of plants and animals, 99% of resources are all being pillaged for the luxury of 1% of humanity. That's terrible, truly terrible. But that doesn't mean community is the problem. Love the people in your life. Love the people you serve. Love the people you work with. And watch your life expand. Watch society change. The more we create community with each other, the more power we have to change all of those societal structures that are so oppressive and so deeply financially filled with disparity. When you love the people that you're helping, it becomes a delight to help them, not a chore. People complain about having to help other people or be forced to, or I hate the words emotional labor. I hate it so much. Caring about someone is good. Labor can be good. Helping people can be good. All it tells me when you say it's emotional labor is that you don't love them. That you don't care about what you're doing or who you're doing things for or with or whatever. We all need each other. We all care about each other. And you might say, oh, well, I don't get that back from them. They're not giving me caring back. So that's why it's emotional labor. Okay, well, if you love them and you're helping them because you love them, you're not looking for something back, are you? There's tons of people I've met in my life who I've given tons of help to. Will never meet them again as long as I live. Never. At all. It's totally fine. I don't care. It was not draining to do so. It added to my life and made my day better. Made me feel more capable, more confident, made me feel like I make the world a better place, that I add to the world, that I can make people's lives better. It is good to help other people, to give them even emotional generosity. And you might say, well, it's not like that. It's a relationship where I should be able to expect emotions back from them. I give them emotional caring and they're not giving it back. Well, then at that point, it's about who you're choosing to have in your life. Why are you pouring so much of your love into a relationship that's long term, that's not going to be good for you? That's still not a them issue, that's still a you issue. Why are you doing that to yourself? Because they're them, and you should have known them long enough, if this has been a long-term relationship, to know what they're like. And maybe that's not a nice truth, but it is the truth. It's not emotional labor. That's malarkey. It's that you are pouring your emotions into someone you resent, not someone you love. Or you're pouring your emotions into someone who you know full well cannot do that back. And you're choosing to do it anyway. And what is going on with you that you're trying to change them or trying to have a relationship with them, even though you know they can't reciprocate? They're not reciprocating because something is terrible about you and unlovable about you. And they're not reciprocating because they weren't capable of it in the first place. So why are you choosing that for yourself? Do you have a worldview that you're unlovable, that you're constantly reinforcing to yourself because you can't handle changing your worldview? That's still not emotional labor. That's actually a deficit of it for yourself. You should care more about yourself than that. And that can be hard. I have been in that situation. It is extremely difficult. I have been actively abused in every romantic relationship I've ever been in. And in different ways, but yes. And I've had to have some very hard looks in the mirror at myself. I've had to deal with Stockholm syndrome, and I've had to deal with why am I doing this? But they almost always are pretty clear about what they are. Other people tend to be pretty direct, and even when they're not, they give you hints. So why are you choosing that? Love the people in your life. Love the people you help. Don't just pick them because you're having a trauma response or because you're like insecure or because you think that they're super cool and you wish you were cool. Whatever it is, really love the people in your life. Really actually love the people you serve and are helping. And every once in a while, yeah, it'll be emotionally hard or yeah, it'll be tiring. But the majority of the time, it's going to feed you, not suck out of you. And the caveat to that is children. Children can be extremely selfish and they're children. They don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. They cannot fully reason out why that maybe would be a little inappropriate or something. You gotta give children some patience and some grace. Sometimes people are disabled and you have to try to be real with yourself. Look, I love this person, but this person's autistic. They're capable of seeing the world only through their own view of things. They can't really fully position themselves in a place of empathy with what I'm going through because they have very actual barriers and their form of autism involves that. Do I love them anyway? Of course I do. Are they sometimes too mean in an attempt to protect themselves? Yes. But do I recognize that it's to protect themselves? It's not because they're trying to be mean. They literally just don't have that capacity. So why would I try to force them to have a capacity that they don't have? That's not accepting them. That's not loving them. Not all autistic people are that way, by the way, but this particular autistic person very much is. When you love someone, you accept them. And if you love someone, you're not trying to turn them into someone else. The constant distress of trying to change them, of trying to get them to do other things and be someone else, is actually what's making it hard. Is actually what's tearing down your motivation, is what's making you claim emotional labor. But really, you're the one creating the distress. You're the one obsessing over things that it's highly inappropriate for you to even be obsessing over. Because you're the one who's trying to change someone else instead of change yourself. The more you love other people, the more you can love in a healthy way. And you can realize, oh my gosh, I should treat myself more like how I'm treating the other people. The more I'm generous towards other people, the more I start to notice when I'm not being generous to myself. Real self love is not self obsessed. Real love for other people doesn't diminish you or erase you or make you disappear. It's not independent individualism. Real love for other people that you're helping and you're serving adds to your life, broadens your horizons, and it makes the world a better place. So love people. You want to have a less hard time at work? Love the people you're serving. You want to have a less hard time with your friendships? Love them for them. even when they're doing something that's maybe not your favorite, if it's characteristic of them, if it's part of just their nature and how they are, stop trying to force them to be someone else. Just love them.